amazing, complicated, and a very advanced subject matter. And the question was that what is the reason why Radharani left the Ras Mandal or the Ras dance? So in order to, I think it's a great question, and I think I will kind of mold today's discussion or class around your question. And I see there are all kinds of devotees present here. Some very advanced like you, all of you, and some who have joined the movement a few years ago, and some very new to our Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So I would have to kind of, answer it in such a way so that the entire audience can get something out of it. And I seek the mercy and blessings of all the Vaishnavas, our Guru Parampara, Srila Prabhupada, and our Gaudiya Acharyas. So it's an amazing, amazing, amazing point, which actually brings us to a very, very important question before I actually go into the answer, which will perhaps be the whole class itself, whatever I'm inspired within the heart, and whatever little I know, I will share. So the question is that we'll start with one question: who is a Vaishnava? And the definition of a Vaishnava, besides the qualities. So I'm not referring to the qualities of a Vaishnava. Just like somebody who worships Lord Shiva is a Shaivite. Somebody who worships the wife of Lord Shiva, Parvati Devi, or the external energy, Durga Devi, are known as Shaktas. So one who worships Vishnu or Krishna is a Vaishnava. That is the core understanding. And then, of course, the Vaishnava has many, many great qualities. And there are many types of Vaishnavas. So we all know that there are 4 bona fide Vaishnava Sampradayas. One Vaishnava Sampradaya comes from Lakshmi Devi, known as the Sri Sampradaya. And who are the prominent devotees of Sri Sampradaya? The South Indians, example, the Ramanujacharya and his followers, the worshippers of Lord Vishnu, worshippers of Lord Ramachandra, worshippers of Lord Balaji. And mostly we find that in Bharatvarsha or on the land of India, there are many followers of the Sri Sampradaya, Vaishnavism. There's another group of Vaishnavas, bona fide Sampradaya, that comes from Lord Shiva himself, known as the Rudra Sampradaya. Why? Because Lord Shiva is considered, in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu. He is the topmost Vaishnava. Krishna himself has recognized this. So we all should recognize. It is unfortunate that certain Vaishnavas, if I may caution, they do not even take the name of Lord Shiva. So there is a certain, I would say, they are missing out on something. Because if you don't understand, or if one does not understand a great Vaishnava Lord Shiva, like Shiva, then how can we gather mercy? So these things are there. Then there is another Vaishnava Sampradaya that emanates from the 4 Kumaras. The 4 Kumars, the son of Lord Brahma. So they are the acharyas or the leaders or the founders of their Vaishnava sect or that Vaishnava line. And that includes in that different, I would say, sects, sects, of or different rivers in that. So there we find there is Nimbarka, which is similar to Kumar Sampradaya, which is actually followers of Kumar Sampradaya, and even the most prominent amongst the Vaishnavas that are recognized in India is the Pushti Marg or the Vallabh Sampradaya. That is also, Sri Vallabhacharya was a follower of the Nimbark or the of that Sampradaya. But originally he was a Gaudiya Vaishnava, follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So due to some, I would say, a complicated leela, he left Gaudiya Vaishnavism and he joined the Nimbark Sampradaya. Now, all is good. As long as one worships Lord Krishna with their heart and soul and his internal energies, then that is a perfect understanding. But the worship methods are different. The methods of the worship are different in terms of its understanding and its intensity. Not to say that a particular Vaishnava Sampradaya is very small or one is very great. They are all specialties. Just like, if I would like to give an example, love. Love is a specialty. And then as an example, love between husband and wife, it's a specialty. Love between father and son or a father and a daughter is a specialty. Love between the parents and the children, that is also a specialty. So one cannot say that a particular relationship in a particular way is better than the other. I think by this example, I'm hoping that it becomes very clear. But some of these specialties that are there, they especially extremely please Krishna based on their seva or service. And in order to, and of course the fourth sampradaya, which I did not mention, is our own, which is the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So there are many Brahmas, as you all know. And this one particular Brahma was initiated by Lord Krishna himself. And he was not only initiated into how to create the material universes, but he was also initiated into the Kam Gayatri Mantra, which is the spiritual. And we find that that is why in particular Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he visited the Dakshin Bharat, the South Indian tour, where he went to Sri Rangji temple, in a particular corner, he asked the Brahmins, can you dig up this corner? And there's a very special shastra or a scripture. And when they dug it up, they found chapter number 5 of the Brahma Samhita. Brahma Samhita has got 100 chapters. But to date, especially now, Brahma Samhita is only accessible to us with chapter 5 by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted, he could have actually manifest all 100. But why the 5th chapter of Brahma Samhita? Because it has got the highest specialty in the service of Krishna, which describes pure ecstatic prema in the Madhurya Rasa and his own abode, Golok Vrindavan, which not all Brahmas were privy to or accessible to. This particular Brahma, who was initiated, who was given Brahma Sambandh by Lord Krishna himself. And that is the same Brahma that is mentioned in the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. What is that? Om Janmadi Yasya Yato Anvayat Itaratascha Artheshva Abhigya Swarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. He initiated Lord Brahma in his heart. And we see on the cover page of Brahma Samhita that Lord Krishna plays his flute. He is in the spiritual world in Golok Vrindavan. And through the sound vibration, when Lord Brahma was inspired to do tapa or meditation, he was given that main calm Gayatri mantra within his heart. Tene Brahma. Brahma means spiritual initiation within the heart. So similarly, when we get Brahma Samban, which the Pushti Margis use, and we use the word Diksha or initiation. What is that? That is basically a relationship that a guru does by connecting to the Sampradaya and connecting to Sri Krishna and his internal potencies by giving us that sound vibration. It is not their particular property in one sense. Actually, it belongs to Lord Krishna himself, who through the manifestation of Sadguru, through Lord Balram or Nityananda or any of his chosen bona fide representatives, he is the one who gives us that initiation through a particular person. Just like when we are in school, we find that, or when we are at home, even when we are little, we find through sound vibration, we learn our ABCs and our numbers, through which it's not that our parents invented the ABC or our parents invented the numbers. They were always there and it was passed down, right? So similarly, spiritual knowledge or spiritual initiation is given through sound vibration and enters into the heart. And if it does not enter the heart, then there is a couple faults. Either the initiating spiritual master or the guru has a fault, or the disciple has a fault, or both have a fault. There has to be a very, very perfect situation where both have to be perfect. And I like to give this example of a cell phone. I don't know, what's the latest iPhone, Pankit? 14? Okay, well, I'm still in my head, it's iPhone 12. So iPhone 14, what does it cost these days? I don't know, maybe $1,500, somewhere there, just a guess. Most expensive phone. And one may, hook it up and start talking, but in order to have a good conversation or a good video call, one has to have two things. What are those two things? That it has to have a very good signal and a very good phone. Then you can get optimal resolution and optimal sound quality. Make sense? Now, if we may have the tower just around the corner, but if the phone is an outdated one, which doesn't have any technology to receive the 5G vibration, then it is, not going to help with the conversation or the video call. Or one may have the best iPhone and one may be in a situation where one is in a basement or in an area where the coverage is very weak or lost, then also it doesn't solve the purpose. Make sense? So in order to have that relationship, the perfect disciple and a perfect guru is required. Now the guru or a Sadguru is always perfect, but then there is another fault is in the disciple. So here we find in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita, and many places in the scriptures, questions and answers are asked. And it's the perfect disciple asking the perfect guru the questions. Like Srimad Bhagavatam is full of questions and answers. Who is the perfect guru? Sukadeva Goswami. And who is the perfect disciple? Parikshit Maharaj. And within Bhagavatam also we find so many wonderful conversations. Like there is a conversation between Vidurji and Maitreya Rishi as an example. There's a conversation at the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam between Uddhav and Krishna. So Uddhav is the perfect disciple, Krishna is the perfect guru. We find in the Bhagavad Gita, the perfect disciple is Arjun and the perfect guru is Sri Krishna. Shishyasteham sadhimam prapannam. And in the second chapter in the beginning, he's telling Krishna, now I have taken you for granted as my cousin, but now I would like to surrender to you and accept you as a guru. And until and unless Arjun did not make that statement and did not feel that, Krishna did not start speaking the Bhagavad Gita. So there has to be a conducive I would say, an environment, even in spirituality, in order for one to receive the absolute truth. And the absolute truth can be realized in many different ways. Brahman iti, Paramatma iti, Bhagwan iti Shabhyate, Srimad Bhagavatam. One can realize the absolute truth in the form of the spiritual Brahman or the energy. That's one, which is partial, which is not considered the most perfect. Arjuna also has these questions in the Bhagavad Gita. Tell me, O Krishna, what is the most perfect? So Krishna says that Brahman realization is partial, but the most perfect is meditating on me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purna Purushottam Bhagavan. And then another partial realization of the Supreme Lord is Paramatma, which is his expansion, and he is found everywhere, in every living entity and every little atom. His presence is there. So, just like the yogis when they attain perfection, they can actually realize the Paramatma in their own hearts, and they can realize and they can see the Paramatma everywhere. But that is not full realization. According to the teachings of Vaishnavism, regardless of which Vaishnavism one follows, the full realization is Krishna is a person and he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the full realization. Along with that, one more major component, that I am an eternal servant of Sri Krishna. Jiver Sharup hoy, Krishner Nitya Das. So, coming to this, I was thinking, along with the question, I would like to kind of, the idea that comes to my mind is, what is the essence of our own Sampradaya or Gaudiya Vaishnavism? And we will also try to kind of, give a little bit, if I may, a comparison on the differences. Just like if one can, there is still comparison in love is love, but there's a comparison, if we may, for lack of proper words, there is a love between husband and wife. It is love, but it is different from a brother and sister. As an example. Make sense? The relationship between a brother and sister is wonderful, or a relationship between a father and daughter, or father and son, or a mother and daughter, mother and son is wonderful. It has got all the love in it, but still it is different than compared to the relationship between a husband and wife, or between a lover and a beloved. So these are specialties. So in order to understand our own Sampradaya, most of us, if we ask them, what is our specialty? What is our goal? Everybody, no matter what we do in the material world, or if we are following a spiritual path, there has to be a goal. And in today's world, most of us are lost. We don't even know what our goal is, or what our essence of what we want to achieve. That is known by the scriptures known as Sambandha, Abhidhya, and Prayojan. So Sambandha means relationship. Most of us, we don't even know what our relationship with the Supreme Lord is. And that is why it is very important to learn it from the realized souls. That what is our relationship with Bhagwan? And which Bhagwan? That's another big question. Because there are many swarups, or many incarnations, or many forms of the Lord, either in the form of his energy, in the form of Paramatma, or in his own personal form. And within his personal forms, there are unlimited forms. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam, Adyam Purana Purusham, Nau Yauvanam cha, Vedeshu Durlabham, Adurlabham Atma Bhakto, Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami. So Brahma Samhita, coming back to chapter 5. This is a verse from the Brahma Samhita which actually establishes Sambandha, which actually Lord Brahma has very meticulously offered these prayers, but without a relationship, a love cannot exist. You cannot love somebody who is just walking down the street by looking at that person. As an example, we can meet so many people, but unless and until you start to know a person, you cannot love that person. It's impossible without knowing about that person, or as a matter of fact, hate, or whatever emotions or relationships, because unless and until no. And that is the reason, even when in our, whether the modern world or the we can say the arranged marriage system that was in India, in order to establish a relationship in the days in India, the Vedic culture, the parents found the groom or the bride, and how would they do that? Is by hearing sound vibration from the society, from the friends, from the relations, that, hey, my daughter is ready to get married, do you know somebody? Or my son is ready to get married. And then they talk to people and they say, hey, you know what, we know this nice boy, and he is very well educated. I'm just giving some examples. Very well mannered, he's making good money, and he's got this loving and caring nature. So when they hear the characteristics or the qualities of that person, then the parents, or even the one who wants to get married, they decide among so many different people that they are seeking out, that, okay, I would like to meet this person. And when they meet in person, then they realize that, okay, these qualities are really there, and I would like to establish a relationship. And then in the form of engagement, which is one of the, regardless the Western world or the Vedic or the Indian world, those are teething periods to know the sambandha, whether or not this person is conducive, we are compatible or not. And then eventually they tie the knot, right? So and then from then on, we find that this relationship gets stronger, and then later on, the process starts of loving, which is known as abhidhyay. What is that process? Process is many things that we have to make adjustments within a married life. Sometimes the husband may not like some things, but the wife likes it, so I make the adjustment. So that is a process, and vice versa. I need not elaborate much on that. So then what happens, that process makes the sambandha or the relationship very strong, and that culminates into love. And this is a very material example. Actually speaking, there is no such thing as love in the material world, but for properly understanding this I had to give these example. And that is known as, in the spiritual Vedic scriptures, it is known as prayojan, means the ultimate goal, which is love. And what is that ultimate goal? Is love of Godhead, love of Krishna. That is the ultimate goal. And how can you love Krishna? By establishing sambandha, by hearing about Krishna, by hearing about Sri Krishna. And when we say hearing about Krishna, it's just not Krishna alone. That includes his entire entourage, his entire, his associates. Just like when we get married, or when we try to establish a relationship with someone, then we have to accept their families also, right or wrong. The brother, the sister, the father, the mother, even friends, etc. That acceptance is a part of love. So that acceptance about everything about Krishna, when we hear it, that is through a proper source. That will actually lead to the process of desiring very strongly that I want to be with him, or them rather, and serve them eternally. And that process is what is being established by all Vaishnava Sampradayas. But coming to our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who has given us this amazing gift, which is so special in its own specialty that he himself had to come in order to taste that sweetness, that love that he received from the Vrajvasis. And especially a very, very special Vrajvasi, Radharani. So we just had Gaur Purnima about 2 weeks ago? So a little bit about the advent of Mahaprabhu, how it happened. I'm not going to go into the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as such, like, born to Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Mata and all that in Navadvip. But I would rather go to a very special pastime that was enacted in Golok Vrindavan, the topmost spiritual world. So Vaikuntha per se is 75% of the creation and 25% is material. And we are just a very, very little speck in the material world. Out of the millions and millions of Brahmans, we are in one small Brahman and in one particular earthly planet, which is known as Bhurloka. But like that, there are millions, and that comprises only 25% of Krishna's entire creation. 75% is spiritual. And that 75% is inhabited by many, many spiritual planets and many, many avatars of Sri Krishna. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. So as many avatars, that many planets are there. Just like as many, we can say, families, that many houses. Just to give an example, right? So as many different avatars of Sri Krishna, they have their own planets in the Vaikuntha Loka. What does Vaikuntha mean? Vai means no and Kuntha means anxiety, where there is no anxiety. This is Kuntha Jagat. This material world is Kuntha Jagat, full of anxiety. Why? Because here there's the four main problems: Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Birth, death, old age and disease, which we cannot escape. Krishna himself has said that one should see the problems. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshanam. One should see the faults and try to get out of this situation and go back home to the spiritual world, where we can actually re-establish ourselves in our full consciousness, Sat, Chit, Ananda, Swarupa. We can fully and go to the spiritual planet where our most attracted deity or personality of Lord Krishna is, or his avatars. But as far as Gaudiya Sampradayas are concerned, our most attractive personality is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. From everything emanates is Sri Nanda Nandan, the son of Nanda Maharaj, or Yashoda Nandan, or Radha Shyam Sundar. And there are so many different names that are known as Pramukh Naams. It has been described that there are two kinds of names that one can kind of classify of God. It's Pramukh Naam and Gauniya Naam. What is Gauniya Naam? When somebody says, Hey Bhagwan, O Paramatma, O Almighty, right? All those. So those are known as Gauniya Naam. Just like in Damodar Ashtakam, there are two Gauniya Naams that Satyavrat Muni is speaking of. What are those? In verse number 4. What is verse number 4? Anybody recollects? In Damodar Ashtakam? Varam Deva Moksham Na Moksham Avdimba Na Chanye Vrune Aham Vara Ishat Apiha. So Varam Deva. Varam Deva means one who is a giver of benedictions, the Lord of benedictions. That's a Gauniya Naam. O Lord of benedictions. Vara Ishad. O controller of benedictions. One who can control and give all kinds of benedictions. I pray unto you. Satyavrat Muni is saying. But that is not so attractive. That is not so attractive. Actually, it displeased Krishna a little bit. Sanatana Goswami has given a wonderful commentary in the Hari Bhakti Vilas on this Damodar Ashtakam. That is why we sing that in Kartik, because it's a very, very special. It appears to be in Vatsalya Rasa, or the parental love, but it is actually beyond that. And it actually culminates into Raganuga Bhakti of the gopis of Vraj. And that is why especially Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami have given many, many wonderful statements in the form of their commentaries. And that is why the Gaudiya Vaishnavas sing this Damodar Ashtakam in Kartik. There's a wonderful reason behind it. Anyways, So coming back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in all the specialties, what is that specialty that he really is crazy after? Is the specialty of Vrajvasis. But even within Vrajvasis, there is another specialty. So we all know that we can establish how many relationships with the Supreme Lord? 5. What are those? Quickly. Loudly, please. That's 3. Or 2 more. Madhurya 4. 5th? Shanta. Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. So these are all perfect in the realization of Supreme Lord, but each one of them has a specialty, as I mentioned earlier. Shantaras is those devotees who are yogis, who can simply meditate very nicely, and they can, when they attain the perfection, when they have gone beyond the 3 modes of material nature of Tamagun, Rajagun and Satagun, the mode of ignorance, passion and goodness, they are able to feel and they can actually take darshan of Paramatma in their own hearts and in everybody's hearts and see everywhere. And that is why one of the names of the Supreme Lord is Vishnu. What does Vishnu mean? If we translate from Sanskrit to English, Vishnu means all pervading. Vishnu means omnipresent, one who is present everywhere. So he can be present in the form of Paramatma, he can be present in the form of his own transcendental, undifferentiated Brahman or light, and he can be also present as the Supreme Person himself. Right? Ito Narsingho, Parato Narsingho, Yato Yato Yami, Tato Narsingha, Bahir Narsingha, Hridaye Narsingha, Narsingha Madim, Sharanam Prapadde. We sing that. What does that mean? That means that the Supreme Lord is all pervading. And especially in the form of Paramatma or Lord Nrsimhadev, he is present everywhere. Needless to speak about the pastimes where even Hiranyakashipu, so angered, is your Lord in this pillar? Yes, he is in this pillar. He is present everywhere, Sri Hari. Is he going to save you? You just, escaped death from the hands of all my soldiers and all the tortures, but I will personally kill you. Let me see if your Sri Hari or the Supreme Lord can save you. Is he here? He is indeed here. So that is known as Vishnu, the real original meaning of Vishnu, all pervading or present. So amongst all these different classifications and specialties, there is one particular specialty that the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the topmost planet of the 75% of the spiritual sky, Vaikuntha, is known as Golok. Golok Vrindavan. And in Golok, there are different delineations, especially there between, right in the middle of Golok is Gokul. So we have heard this word Gokul, right? What does Gokul mean? What does it mean? Please, loudly, please. 1 second, she was saying first. Okay, very nice. That's one meaning. Yes, anything else? So go means what? Just not cows. You're right. Go means senses. Not only that, but go means gopis. Go means gopas. So it is the land of the gopis and gopas and the cows. And the land where the transcendental senses are satisfied of Krishna and of the devotees who reside there in the highest zenith. The highest zenith, where there is a reciprocation as never ever seen. And that is why one day Krishna, he was thinking in Golok or in the land of Raj. Now the land of Raj, which is we see here in this samsar or in this bhaumya, is non-different from Golok Vrindavan. We cannot make a distinction. If we make a distinction, we are committing an offense due to our neophyte stage or our neophyte understanding. Even today, those who go to Vrindavan and who have this pure consciousness, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that when we go to Vrindavan, what do we see? We see the dirt. We go like tourists. We go to the different temples. We like to eat that aloo tikki and lassi in that bazaar of Bake Bihari. And we go all those different places. And when we go to the banks of the Jamuna, we find the dirty water and say, oh, please don't, but that is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur and our Acharyas say. The Vraj is 100% transcendental. But because our consciousness is polluted, we are able to see it through a different lens. So even today, the pure Vaishnavas see Chintamani, Prakara Sadmashu, Kalpa Vriksha, Lakshatrateshu. They see that this land of Raj is full of gemstones, touchstone, Chintamani. And what does Chintamani mean? Anybody? Chinta means? Touchstone is, touchstone, sorry? Very good. Touchstone means, it's more or less like, if somebody gets a touchstone, I wish that if I touch this, it becomes gold. Right? So that's a wish. But in its original sense, Chinta means whatever you think, you will get. So the spiritual, Vrindavan is completely spiritual, whether in Golok or here. If one has that transcendental desire, the dust of Vrindavan, the Raja, will fulfill it 100%. And even beyond our wildest imagination or beyond our desires. But it requires the sincerity of purpose. And then it is so, talking about in Vrindavan one time, Krishna was thinking that, what? In this relationship of the Madhurya Rasa, or the rasa of the relationship between the lover and the beloved, out of the 5 rasas, Shant Ras, Dasya Ras is the example of servant and master. Vaikunt is full of Dasya Ras. Like say Ayodhya and all the other Narayan Lokas. All the relationships there are of Dasya Ras. And even we find that Hanumanji is the pinnacle of Dasya Ras. That's why Tulsidas ji says in the Hanuman Chalisa, Sadaraho Raghupati ke Dasa. So please, Tulsidas ji, I cannot see you in any other rasa or any other mellow. You always, Hanumanji, please always remain in this servitorship. It doesn't befit you in anything else. And who is the incarnation of Hanumanji in Chaitanya Leela? Murari Gupta. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every evening used to call very, very selected devotees in Srivasangan for Sankirtan, nocturnal at night. When Navadvip went to sleep, only few special devotees were invited into the house of Srivasacharya. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed ecstatic kirtan. And one day he decided that I want to actually bestow very special mercy on all my associates. So he decided that he manifested a golden throne in Srivasacharya's house. And he sat on the golden throne and he showed his original form as Radha Govinda of Vrindavan. And everybody started worshipping him nicely. Nityanand Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, and so many wonderful devotees were there. They were all just amazing. They were Gadadhar Pandit, Vakreshwar Pandit, so many wonderful Shikhi Mahiti, and all those associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were all gathered. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called them each by their names, and he showed them very special mercy. Now, there were so many devotees that some of them were still outside, but Mahaprabhu called their names and they came in. But he did not call the name of Murari Gupta. So Murari Gupta was in great anxiety. And Murari Gupta is Lord Hanuman himself. He was in great anxiety. Why is Mahaprabhu not calling me? So he asked one devotee that, can you please, perhaps he forgot me. I also want his lotus feet. I want his mercy. So one of his associates went to Mahaprabhu and said that, what about Murari Gupta? So what did Mahaprabhu say? I will not even see Murari Gupta in 1,000 lifetimes, or some very large number. I will not see him. So he went with a very, very sad face, the messenger, and told Murari, I don't think Mahaprabhu will see you at least for 1,000 lifetimes. So Murari started jumping in joy. He says, Mahaprabhu will see me at least after 1,000 lifetimes. See, that is the nature of a pure devotee. And Mahaprabhu, when he heard that, of course, he is Paramatma. His expansion is Paramatma. He called Murari Gupta and he embraced him. And then everybody started chanting Hare Krishna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, Murari, chant Hare Krishna. And he said, Jai Shri Ram. He said, Murari, chant Hare Krishna. And he said, Jai Shri Ram. So then Mahaprabhu understood that this is Hanumanji that I am requesting to chant Hare Krishna. And he said, Mahaprabhu, I'm trying, but just Ram is coming to my mouth. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said, Jai Shri Ram himself. He loudly proclaimed Jai Shri Ram. So the point is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not want to disturb his rasa, his mellow of Dasya rasa. So similarly, there is rasas that are there of Sakhya rasa, friendship. There are so many different friends of Krishna. We find that in Raj. We find even the relationship of Sakhya rasa is there in the life or the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. But they are in the mood of Aishwarya. They are not in the mood of Sambrahma Prema or equality. Just like Lord Ramachandra had accepted Vibhishan as his friend. Lord Ramachandra had accepted the boatman. What is he called? The Nishadraj as his friend. The Kevat. Kevat means a boatman, as his friend. And Hanumanji also, he treated him like a friend. But Hanumanji always felt that he was his eternal master. They never crossed the line. Nobody could put their hand, like you see in Vrindavan Krishna Balram, how Balram is putting his hand on Krishna's shoulder, right? And nobody could do that on Lord Ramachandra's shoulder. Maximum they get is a nice hug. That's it. And then Lord Ramachandra, he personally speaks to them sweetly like a friend. But they do not feel that they are worthy of the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha to be equal to them. There is a certain friendship that has got equality, and that is present in Vraj, and which is the Sakhya Rasa of Supreme Personality of Godhead, where we have so many different friends of Krishna like Subal, Sridham, Stoka Krishna, Vishalaksha, Madhumangal, and so many different friends of Krishna who have equality. If Krishna loses in a game, Madhumangal is the first one to say, Krishna, so what if you are the son of Nanda Maharaj, the king of Raj, but you lost. You catch your ears and you sit up and down. Or you are the losing one, in the losing party you have to carry us across on your backs. We don't care if your father is the king of Raj. That is, and they even chastise Krishna. That is Sakhya Rasa. Just like a friend can also chastise another friend, right? So, and then of course, the fourth relationship is of the Vatsalya Rasa, parenthood, where Krishna is considered as the Lala, the loving darling of Raj, where they treat him like a boy. They even chastise him like a boy, right? Mother Yashoda takes a stick. Yashoda bhiyulu khalat dhavamanam paramashtam atyanto tato dhrutya gopya rudantam muhur netra yugmam brijantam karam bhoja yugmena satanka netram muhu sasha kampa maya, don't hit me. Trirekhanka kantha sthita graiva damodar bhakti baddham. So that loving relationship where Nanda Maharaj is sometimes told that, Lala, can you bring me a glass of water? And little Krishna is only 3 years old. He goes and gets a glass of water for his father. He's serving Nanda Maharaj. He's serving. Nanda Maharaj says, Krishna, I have to go for a meeting. Can you bring my shoes, my padukas? And Krishna will, he's so little, but he carries the large padukas of Nanda Maharaj on his head. And he brings them to Nanda Maharaj. Baba, here are your padukas, your sandals. So, and then the fifth relationship, which we are discussing, and of course, patiently waiting. Thank you so much for coming to that, but I still have to kind of, set the background or the stage in order for everybody to be a part of this conversation, is the Madhurya Rasa, the relationship of the lover and the beloved, husband and wife, and sometimes even beyond, which we find in Raj. And that's a very exalted subject matter, which not everybody is able to understand, Madhurya Rasa. So, out of all the loving relationships in Raj, these three are prominent: Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. Now, in the Madhurya Rasa, Krishna loves that the most, and he wants to reciprocate, but he's unable to reciprocate. Please try to understand my words again, I will repeat. He wants to reciprocate, but he's not able to fully reciprocate. And in order to understand why he cannot reciprocate, he decided to come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for 4 reasons. One is known as the Bahya, or the external reason, and the other 3 are internal, or Antaranga. What is the external reason? Is to propagate the holy names. Ajanu lambito bhujo kanakayo dhato sankirtanai pitaravo kamalayataksho vishwam bharo dvijavaro yuga dharma palo vande jagat priyakaro karuna avtaro. The most munificent avatar, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishay Namaha. He came here to give the holy names, the Ajanu Lambito, his hands extended down to his knees. That's the physiognomy of a great personality. Like even Srila Prabhupada's hands extended down to his knees. When we find there certain symptoms of which is known as physiognomy, looking at the physiology of somebody's body, one can tell that this person is very intelligent. A large forehead, big ears, long arms that extend beyond the knees, etc. That's physiognomy. So both Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they came down with their extended long hands. Ajanu lambita bhujo kanakaya. This is from Chaitanya Bhagavat. Chaitanya Charitamrita was composed by who? Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami. Chaitanya Bhagavat by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. And who is Vrindavan Das Thakur? He is Vyasdev himself. Ved Vyas, the compiler of all the Vedas. So he came in Chaitanya Leela as, Ved Vyas ji came as Vrindavan Das Thakur, and in the Manglacharan, this shloka is there. So Ajanu Lambito Bhujo, extended hands, both these personalities, Ajanu Lambito Bhujo, Kanakaya Udhato, with golden complexion, Sankirtanai Pitaravo, the founders or the forefathers, or the fathers of the Sankirtan movement. Kamalaya Taksha, with beautiful lotus petal like eyes. Vishwambharo, they are the, Vishwambhar means one who maintains the entire creation. Dvijavaro, and they are the topmost Brahmanas. What does Dvija mean? Dvi means twice, and Ja means Janma, one who is twice born. So through sanskaras, our Shastras say, Janmana jayate Shudra, sanskarat bhavati Dvija. One is born. Shudra means what? Ignorant. That's the primary meaning of the word Shudra. Not the caste system as that has been implicated in India. And generally people who are of a lower intelligence, they are known as Shudras. If they do not follow any spirituality, they do not follow any scriptures, they are not interested in any spiritual progress, then they are known as Shudras. So by Janam, we are all Shudras when we are born. But sanskarat bhavati dvija. If we are fortunate enough, we can get good sanskaras from our Adi Gurus, our parents, and then from the spiritual masters. Different kind of spiritual masters. The one who gives us initiation, the one who guides us, etc. So sanskara, through sanskar, we become twice born. Dvija. Because when we were born, that was our first birth, when we were born from our mother's womb. But the second birth is when Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. When our spiritual master opens our eyes with the torch of spiritual knowledge, unto that personality offer my Dandvat Pranams. That is known as sanskar. That is known as the process. And that process gives us a second birth. And that is the reason why in our sampradaya, and even other Vaishnava sampradayas, they change our names at the time of initiation or diksha. That is why whatever our names were prior that were given by our parents, our next parent or our ultimate parent is the Guru. Bona fide Guru. Again, I have to make sure that I specify that. Who comes through a bona fide sampradaya with a bona fide intention. Very, very important. Bona fide Guru, bona fide sampradaya, and bona fide intention. If that is all these three conditions are met, then what happens is second birth is given to that person. And that is, then we all become Das or Dasi of Krishna, and that is why we have the names as a suffix. Gaur Mani Das. Shama Priya Dasi. Prem Sarovar Das. Your name? Ras Bihari Dasi. So that is our real identity. Not what our parents, what names they gave us. That is gone. That is basically based on a bodily concept. But the spiritual name is what we need to work on and attain that prayojan or the ultimate goal, which is Krishna Prem in Madhurya Rasa in Vraj. And that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for this reason, the first one being giving the Sankirtan. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, Govinda, Nandanandan, Yashodanandan, and all the different wonderful names of Krishna in Vraj, who had a very, very deep desire in his heart. And what was that? He thought that I can reciprocate with all my friends, I can reciprocate with my parents, but I cannot reciprocate enough with my lovers in Vrindavan, the gopis. And especially one special gopi, Radharani. It's just not possible. I'm trying to understand, but I can't. Now, that is the reason he decided, the three inner reasons why he had to come down. First reason is, he wanted to glorify Srimati Radharani's prema. Out of all the devotees Krishna has amongst the different planetary systems, whether the material world, spiritual world, and even in Golok, this one special devotee who has got the highest love for Sri Krishna, Krishna says that, you know what, the least I can do is I can glorify her. And that is the reason, internal reason why Krishna decided to come as Mahaprabhu. Reason number two, the internal reason was that I am very sweet and I feel attracted to my own self. One time Krishna was looking at himself in the Jamuna, the water was, or in one of the sarovars, in a pond, and he was so mesmerized by his own beauty that he was dumbstruck. Wow, I'm really beautiful. He was really mesmerized. I mean, he just kept looking at himself. And then he was thinking, you know, if I feel and relish my sweetness, how much Radharani and the gopis must be relishing that sweetness. But somehow or the other I see that they are more ecstatic and jubilant than myself in their interaction. Now I really would like to taste my own sweetness from their perspective. So that was internal reason number two. And what is the third reason? The third reason was that especially And honestly speaking, I'm not that crazy because I can see the symptoms in her, and I would actually like to get that craziness. I would really like to, relish that craziness. And then in order to obtain that, what would one have to do? So supposing, I like to give this example quite often, maybe in my past lectures, some may have heard. If there's a little baby, very, very charming baby, sitting on the mother's lap, and the mother simply pats the baby, puts a finger on the chin or on the belly button, and the baby starts laughing and starts, amazingly, very, very much in ecstasy. And seeing that, the mother goes into an ecstasy. And it's like a reciprocation. How, it's each other, they give them joy. But there is no exact match. Even in any relationship, one may say that I love you, and the other person says, I love you too, but it is not exact. Somewhere, one's love is much more, maybe a tad bit more than the other. It cannot be identical. Not possible. Not possible. Because we are all unique. Just like our fingerprints on every finger, they're unique. So similarly, that love of Srimati Radharani and that craziness, how can the child know how crazy the mother is? And how can the mother know how crazy the child is? Then by some magic, they would have to reverse the roles to feel that ecstasy in order to understand this example. So that is why Krishna Nandan decided that in order to feel these three ecstasies or understand it, I would have to take that mood of Srimati Radharani. I would have to, being Nandan myself, I don't think I will ever be able to understand these three things. So he decided, I would like to. Now, knowing his inner desire, we have to now come to a different component of how the spiritual worlds, they work. Any desire of the Supreme Lord or his pure devotees, which they're all pure in the spiritual world, when that kind of emanates in their heart, there is a special faculty or a personality who arranges the desire to be satisfied, and that is none other than Yogamaya. We have in the material world Mahamaya. Mahamaya, actually, Maya means what? What that which is not, and basically means illusion, right? It brings us. Both bring illusion. Both their jobs, the Mahamaya and Yogamaya. What does Mahamaya do? Mahamaya makes us forget that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, or there is a Bhagwan. Most of our society is atheistic, right? And the priority is never Bhagwan. If a birthday party comes, if a wedding comes, chalo goli malo aaj mandir ko. We don't need to go to the temple. Our priorities are not the Supreme Lord. Our priorities are, Krishna is somewhere there, and there are many other priorities above him. And how does that happen? Because of the influence of Maya. She makes us forget. Oh yeah, it's a great idea. We'll go to the temple next week. Let's go to the birthday party, or we're going to this whatever social event. It's more important. So Mahamaya plays a perfect role and makes us act. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasa ahankara vimudatma karta aham indi manyate. Bhagavad Gita. It is Mahamaya who controls everything here and makes us do many things here. So, and what does Yogamaya do? Yogamaya, who is in the spiritual world, is also that energy of Sri Krishna personified, who makes us forget. And what does he make us? Not only us, he also makes Krishna himself forget that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, especially in Vrindavan. And He makes the rest of the devotees, regardless of which relationship they are in, that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's like, if there is a very powerful magical wand, and what does the magician do? He puts that wand on somebody's head, he hypnotizes him, and he starts doing as he wishes, like that. But this Yogamaya has been given so much special permission that Krishna says, you can even utilize it on me. You can utilize it on me. I'm giving you a blank check, sign. So you have understood my inner desires and you make the arrangements. Just like a good director, when the producer comes to a good director and says that I want to make this movie, here's the story. And I've approached many directors, but I feel you're the most qualified, because he knows that he can direct the movie so beautifully that he can transport everybody watching that movie into the movie because of his qualities. So Yogamaya is such. Now this Yogamaya, understanding, and again the expansions of Yogamaya are Purnamasi and Vrinda Devi or Tulsi Devi. But just to make it simple, we call her Yogamaya, just like Krishna's expansions. There are two major expansions of Yogamaya. So Yogamaya, understanding the heart of Krishna, that he wants to relish these three innermost desires, let me help him out. Because that's her job. How can one servant not fulfill the desire of the master? And especially the servant is so close that, so one day what happened is Krishna, as usual in the Madhurya Rasa, in order to understand that it's a little higher subject matters, but I have a very senior devotee here, he understands it, and I'm sure that you all will also try to grasp the essence. And that is the reason, before we go into the higher level of topics, we have to become good sadhaks. We have to chant nicely, we have to read the books properly and in the proper order. And that's what Srila Prabhupada says, that when we do this, then we will be able to understand the higher rasas. Otherwise, in our minds and hearts, we may commit offenses. We will think that what kind of a God this is. And even today in India, so many people, even the Hindus, they say, what kind of a God this is who can incite war? God is supposed to be all peaceful, etc. What kind of a God do the Hindus have? That he is asking somebody who doesn't want to be a part of the war, kind of coercing him that, pick up your bow and arrow and fight. So unless and until we do not have a certain philosophical background, it will be impossible to understand the higher nuances of rasa or relationships or mellows. So here, Yogamaya arranges a wonderful stage. What she does is, in this Madhurya Rasa or this paramour relationship, in Vrindavan especially, there is one known as Parkiya Rasa. What is it called? Parkiya Rasa. What is that Parkiya Rasa? Our Krishnadas in the bhajan, which we all are very familiar with, Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna, Jai Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinath, Madana Mohan. In the end he says, Jaya Jaya Ujjwala Rasa, Sarva Rasasar, Parkiya Bhave Jaha, Vrajeta Prachar. Very, very meticulously he takes us up to the highest crescendo in that bhajan. Just like how a good student from the basics goes to graduation, masters, post-graduation, doctorate and post-doctorate. So those verses also flow like that in that bhajan. So he's saying, Jai Jai Ujjwala Rasa. Ujjwal Rasa means the relationship of a paramour. Ujjwal means the most brightest. There is no rasa comparable to the Madhurya Rasa. And what is that rasa? Parkiya Rasa. Parkiya means the person who has been given to somebody and you are having a relationship with that person. Parkiya means not yours in general terms. Even in many Hindi, Gujarati, ato parko che. He is not a part of her family. There is a different delineation in Bengali, right? So Parkiya Ras means, and again, this is a very high level. You'll have to just digest it because I don't really have time to go into all those details. But accept it with a very pure heart. That's my humble request. Without questioning it, otherwise one may commit some aparad or anasar. It is the married gopis of Vrindavan that Krishna associated with in the forest of Vrindavan and performed the Ras Leela. So that is Ujjwala Rasa. Although they are married to somebody else, their highest love and pinnacle was Sri Krishna. And one may ask, how is that possible? Would it not be antisocial? Would it not be improper, immoral? And that is considered immoral in today's world by any standards. If one has a fling with somebody's wife or girlfriend, it is not acceptable. It is considered bad. But pure love is beyond law. Love is beyond law. Love is beyond social norms. And that is one of the reasons the secret that is given in the last verse of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is, what is that verse? 1866. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Only surrender unto me. No matter what. So basically, to get that Vraj bhav, we may have our friends, our family, our society, our children, our wife. All this is okay. But unless and until we surrender to Sri Krishna, then we have not really attained pure bhakti. Everybody else should take a back seat. Vipina mahu murali hata saji. Navala kishora, navala manmohana, navala swara vamshi vaji. Kling shrim prema ko bardhaka. There's a very wonderful bhajan in Vraj Bhasha, where it says that in the middle of the night, Sri Krishna in the forest was beautifully decorated with her. Who is her? The feminine word is used for the Vamshi. And the gopis are also envious of the flute, that she always gets the kisses from Krishna's lips. Because everything in the spiritual world is chitta. It is spiritual. Everything. Whether it's a harmonium, mridang, flute, a chair, table, they are living entities, Satchitananda Rupa. Because of our limited understanding, we think that they are inanimate. There's nothing inanimate in the spiritual world. So she has been given that position of highest envy. And here the author or the poet says, Vipina mahu murali hata saji. Saji means she is beautifully decorating the hands of Krishna. So there is a certain envy there. Navala Kishora Navala Manamohana. This son of Nanda Maharaj, who is the exactly 15 years and 9-month-old, this Govindam Adi Purusham, who never grows beyond that in the Madhurya Rasa. Navala Kishora. Navala Swara Vamshi Vaji. With a new tune, a melody, he plays the flute to attract the gopis. Navala Swara Vamshi. Klim Shrim Prema Bijako Vardak. Those who are chanting Gayatri Mantra, you should know the word Klim comes in. So, again, I don't have time to go into that, but especially the 7th Gayatri that we chant is very much related to the highest pinnacle of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. And of course, I'm not allowed to say the Gayatri aloud because it's a restricted mantra. But those who understand the 7th Gayatri, or at least you know the essence, then you can kind of meditate on it. And the word klim is used in that as well. So Krishna increases their love within their hearts by simply playing that flute, and in the middle of the night they leave everybody. They leave their husbands, their kids, their in-laws, and not even caring for the society, they run into the forest. And Krishna, when they come, he says, what? Krishna is very sarcastic. And that is one of the essences of Madhurya Rasa. It's full of sarcasm. If there is no sarcasm, it cannot be Madhurya. There cannot be sarcasm with Lord Ramachandra. No. But there is sarcasm fully in terms of Vraj relationship, especially in the Madhurya Rasa. And in that sarcasm, Krishna says, go back. What are you doing? You're coming to meet a brahmachari in the middle of the night. What will the society say? What happens if your mother-in-law wakes up or your sister-in-law wakes up and if your husband doesn't find you next to you? Go back. This is a very nice song and it is mentioned in this, and this is also mentioned in the Gopi Geet. So, the gopis are saying, I think it's the 15th verse in the Gopi Geet, that we have already come to you, Krishna, giving up our family, our friends, our husbands, everybody we have given up. Now it's up to you. We are completely surrendered to you. And actually speaking, you are our eternal husband and the true husband. Because everybody else is in Golok or in Vrindavan are expansions of Krishna. So just for the Leela sake, they get married. But this is to show the highest surrender, that although we may be married, we may have children, we may have a society, etc., how much are we dedicated to Krishna? How much are we surrendered to Krishna? And that is why Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. The word Vraja means the kind of surrender that the Vraj Gopis or the Vrajvasis have towards me. It's a rasic meaning. You will not find that in the Bhagavad Gita, but this has been explained by our Rasikacharyas. That's just one meaning. I'm scratching the surface. So, Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja, just like the gopis of Vraj did. That is the highest test of love. Otherwise, we, in our practical experience, we say, can you do this seva? Sorry, this time I have to take my kids for football, or I have to take them for that, and for this, that, and that, and that, and that. And so I can do something else, but at a different time. So it is our convenience that we are looking at, not Krishna's convenience. As an example, just to even understand the subject matter very easily. So coming back to the point of that pinnacle of love, which is Ujjvala Rasa, Parkiya Bhave Vrajita Prachar. So now, coming to this point of Parkiya Rasa, the love, the relationship with the other married gopis of Vrindavan, Krishna always goes to some other gopis, kunja or her home, to give his association as per the desire of the gopi. And he does that quite often, forgetting that he even has a meeting or an appointment with Radharani. He forgets. Because the other gopi keeps him enamored. Another 5 minutes, then you can go. And those 5 minutes culminate into 5 hours sometimes. Now usually the rendezvous of the highest, the paramour relationship with Krishna and the gopis, especially with Radharani, happens between midnight and 3 a.m. in the forest of Vrindavan. It's very cold. I have a few, that's fine. Please try to understand this. I'm going a little bit deeper because you had requested me take a deeper topic along with Prabhu's request. I'm kind of... So that is known as the last out of the 8 delineations of time, the last delineation, which is the between 12 to 3, is considered the pinnacle of the rendezvous between Radha and Krishna and associates of Radharani. And when that rendezvous is just about to get finished, that is the time of Mangalarti. That Mangalarti, what does it mean? It is the time. Actually, we have not really, most of us need to grasp the essence of Mangalarti. This Mangalarti is basically, it's a crying of the devotee in the bhav of Madhurya Rasa, that now it's time for you both to wake up and go to your homes before you get caught. And may all auspiciousness come to you. May you never get caught. And you simply go back to your daily routine without being caught. Because if you get caught, there will be a problem. And then the further meetings, just like, a very, very hardliner father finds that his daughter is meeting a boy. You're not leaving your room henceforth. You're locked up. That's it. You're grounded. So we don't want that to happen. That's one of the internal reasons of Mangalarti. And then all the Sakhis and the Manjaris, they gather around Radha and Krishna and they sing a very soft kirtan to wake them up from their transcendental slumber. That is why in Mangalarti, we don't usually use a lot of instruments. It's very soft, and there's a particular ragas, morning ragas that we sing. And this specialty is especially we find in the Pushti Marg Sampradaya, in the Vallabh Sampradaya, different ragas are there. And in their Sampradaya especially, which is very bona fide, in the morning they never play any percussion instruments. Never. It's only, so no mridanga or no pakhavaj. It's only tanpura or harmonium, simply. And it's very, very, if I may use those words, like the blues that is there in the Western culture, right? It's heart rendering. Am I correct if I'm not mistaken, Gaurmani Prabhu?
No, you're correct.
The blues. It's got a sadness, and in that sadness there is a sweetness, and there is a separation in the blues. So similarly, that's the mood. In one of the songs, Krishnadas ji says, Kaun te bhuraye bhor, aaye ho bhavan mere, ऊंची दृष्टि क्यों ना करो, कौन ते लजाने हो, आए हो भवन मेरे, जाही को भवन भावे, ताही को सिधारो काना, ऐसी कौन चाड़ परी, कौन ते लजाने हो, मीठी मीठी बतियन ना सुनाओ काना, कौन ते लजाने हो, कौन ते लजाने हो. So Krishna has gone to one of the opposite camp gopis. So there are 4 kinds of gopis in that. The first type of gopi is known as the Swapaksha gopi. Swapaksha gopi means those gopis in the camp of Srimati Radharani exclusively. The second type of gopi is Vipaksha gopis, the opposite camp of Radharani. The third kind of gopis is Surut gopis. Those gopis who are, Surut means friendly to both the camps, the opposite camp and the camp of Radharani. And Tathastha gopi means they are very, very neutral, something similar to Surut. Both the camps, they equally weigh and they are not swayed in any kind of a opinion or anything like that. So, Krishna has gone to one of the Vipaksha gopis, perhaps Chandravali, who is Radharani's cousin. And Krishna stays there and he's way beyond the midnight time to meet Radharani in one of the Nikunjas of Vrindavan. And Radharani has beautifully decorated the Nikunja. Nikunja is basically a bower that is naturally created by flowers, creepers, and small trees that create a very natural room. It is very aromatic and it is full of gems. Each and every flower is like a diamond or an emerald, and it just emanates its own luminescence. It's so like Chintamani, right? In Raj. Even today they say if you go to Barsana, there is a place known as Gharvan. There's a forest of Gharvan, and there are some Babajis who live there who have spoken about how they have seen the forest trees at night to be completely illuminated like the diamonds and emeralds. So there are such pure personalities who can actually see that vision.
What's the place called?
Gaharvan. So it is like down if you go, and then into the valley, and then you slowly come up, and then you join into the bridge of Barsana, and then you go through. Then you can join, because Barsana is on Brahma Parvat. It is on a hill, and this is down into the forest. So in Gaharvan also there is a Baithakji of Sri Vallabhacharya Mahaprabhu, and there also there is, not too far from there is the Man Mahal, and also there is the Mor Kutir. So all these places are there in very surrounding Gaharvan. So there, what happened is, coming back, connecting to Yogamaya. So Krishna is gone. He's not coming back at that appointed time. The Nikunja, or the room, is very beautifully decorated along with the different Sakhis, Lalita, Vishakha, and the younger gopis known as the Manjaris, who assist them in decorating the Kunja. And here Radharani is simply waiting, and Krishna is a no-show. Now what happens? Out of separation, for deep separation of Krishna, she starts crying. When will he come? She tells her Sakhis, Krishna, when will he come? And she's kind of, even when the leaves are rustling in the mild, beautiful wind, she's, oh, now he's here. But it is just the wind rustling through the leaves. And as more time passes, she becomes more and more morose. And along with moroseness, she gets angry. So that anger, there are different types of levels of prema in Krishna prema. We all say, right, in ISKCON or in the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, what is your goal? Oh, I want Krishna prema. But little do we know how many different types of Krishna prema are there. Many, many different types. And in the Madhurya Rasa, there is Raga, Anuraga, Mana, so many different Bhava, Anubhava, Mahabhava. And within Mahabhava, there is only exclusive rights of a few gopis. There is the highest one is Radharani, whose delineation of Mahabhava is Madanakya and Mohanakya Bhav, which is only the proprietorship of Radharani. No other gopi can achieve that. And that is the reason Krishna wanted to desire what she feels. So he's a no-show. And at that time, suddenly he realizes, I'm really late. And he starts running very fast in the forest, leaving Chandravali behind. And there he's perspiring, very fast. And as soon as he arrives, he's stopped. Because previously Radharani had told Lalita and Vishakha and the other gopis, if he comes now, don't let that rascal into the room. He's dark and his heart is also very dark. He doesn't have any value for my love. So, don't let him, and he's very smart. He's going to sweet talk you. But this time, no way. That's it. What do they say? Enough is enough, as they say. Right? Enough is enough. So, there, they are guarding the sick, and Vishakha is very, we can say, transcendently vicious. She has got those qualities of Srimati Radharani because she is born exactly at the same time and the same day, same age. And Vishakha knows very deeply the heart, not to say the other gopis don't, but there is an edge to what her understanding about Radharani is and how her feeling is very deep. So she starts really abusing Krishna. No way. You made my Pran Sakhi cry. My life Sakhi, my life friend, my life heir, this Radharani. And she herself said that you're not permitted. So this Krishnadas has portrayed this in one bhajan which I just sang a few lines. Kaun ke bhuraye bhor aaye ho bhavan mere. Bhor means just about to Mangalarti time, the Brahma Muhurat. Kaun ke bhuraye bhor aaye ho bhavan mere. Now you have come to my dwelling at this hour? Buddy, you're supposed to be here 3 hours ago. Kaun ke bhuraye bhor aaye ho bhavan mere. ऊंची दृष्टि क्यों ना करो? Why are you looking down? Why aren't you seeing me eye to eye? ऊंची दृष्टि क्यों ना करो? कौन ते लजाने? What have you done that you are so shameful? And they know the answer, but it's like, to what do you call? To rattle the cage even further, right? To embarrass Krishna. To embarrass Krishna. What have you done? As if they don't know, they know everything. What have you done? Kaun te lajane ho? Why are you so embarrassed? Look at me in the eye and talk to me. Then Krishna is silent. And Krishna says, he's about to say something, and then here it is either Radharani or Vishakha or Lalita. They have not mentioned the name. This is a very, very nice way of concealing only to qualified people the bhav. Just like Sukdev Goswami has concealed the name of Srimati Radharani very well in Srimad Bhagavatam. So that unqualified people will not be able to relish that bhav. They will not be able to understand it, and they may ultimately commit offenses. He wants them to qualify enough to see the word Radha, which is completely Srimad Bhagavatam. The entire Srimad Bhagavatam is one of the darshans of Sri Radha. So here he's saying, she is saying to Krishna, Jahi ko bhavan bhave tahi ko sidaro kana. Out. Whosoever home you came from, go back there. Just like, an angry wife, when the husband comes home late, oh, I was just in the bar with my friends, you go back there. No need. I'm not opening the door. Out. You stay where you came from. So, Jahi ko bhavan bhave, tahi ko sidharo kana. Go back there. Meethi meethi batiyan. Don't try to sweet talk me. Hum sab janat giridhari. I know how you are. So out. Krishna is pleading. Krishna is saying, sorry. No way. And Krishna, none of the gopis are listening. Krishna looks at the Manjaris. Now I've explained Manjari before, but very briefly, Manjaris are the younger gopis. And those younger gopis are not married. Except one, which is Lord Balram in the form of Ananga Manjari, the younger sister of Radharani. And Manjaris have no desire, none whatsoever. The difference between the bosom sakhis of Radharani and Manjaris is everything is the same, but not the same. There's an extra specialty in them that they never desire to enjoy Krishna. That's what makes them apart. So, for example, Radharani sometimes takes hold of the hand of Lalita and says, you sit on the swing with him and you enjoy Krishna. As a matter of fact, Radharani actually in Uchagaon, which is the village of Lalita Devi, very close to Barsana, she performs the marriage of Lalita Devi and Krishna. And there's a temple there known as Lalita Bihari temple there in Uchagaon. It's a very small village. Narayan Bhatta Goswami Samadhi is there, one of the leading Vaishnava acharyas. And as Gaudiya Vaishnavas are in the Chorasi Parikrama, the 84 course Parikrama, many Vaishnavas visit Uchagaon, the village of Lalita Devi. But the Manjaris, who are younger, around 12 and a half years old, and the gopis are generally about 14, right around the age of Srimati Radharani, give and take a few years or months less. They never desire to enjoy Krishna anyway. Their only desire is to unite Radha and Krishna. That is their only desire, somehow or the other, and serve them. And one of the things, this time when I went to Vraj, I heard a wonderful Vraj Acharya speak on a very high rasic subject matter. And he gave a wonderful example, if I may, kind of describe the Manjaris with this example. One time, in Vaikuntha, in Ayodhya, Lord Ramachandra and his devotees were seated in the palace. And somebody asked the question, who is the most worshipable? Who is the most worshipable? So that everybody looked at Mother Sita, and Mother Sita, without speaking anything, she simply glanced at her husband with her eyes and indicated, and everybody understood, as far as Mother Sita is concerned, her husband, Lord Ramachandra, is the most worshipable. Then, the next person in line, they asked the same question, was to Lakshman. So Lakshman said, both of them, Sita and Ram, they are the most worshipable. And then the same question was passed on to the other two brothers, Bharat and Shatrughna, and they said, all three, Ram, Lakshman and Sita. And then the question came now to Hanumanji. And Hanumanji said, all five of them. All five. The four brothers and Sita Devi. So then they asked somebody asked, why, Hanumanji? Why? Says, you have no idea. He says, the ecstasy that I get is way beyond just by getting the ecstasy of serving only one, which is Lord Rama. Just like, supposing we, like a lottery, if I may call it, or let's say some kind of a scheme where you put in $1 and you get 5, right? So similarly, Hanumanji Maharaj says that I do not want to be bereft of such seva and ecstasy. Similarly, the manjaris are like that. That if I am just Radharani's Sakhi, then I will my only consciousness will be to serve Radha. If my consciousness is just Radha Krishna, my only consciousness will be Radha Krishna. But my consciousness is such, our consciousness is such that I would like to serve not only them, but to be a servant of all the others involved in the seva of Radha Krishna. And that I will not allow, or the Manjaris will never allow to take away. Even if they are offered the position of the Ashtasakhis, they don't want it. They do not want it because from this simple mathematical calculation, their ecstasy is far more than the service that they derive, which is a kind of for them it is unlimited, but for those in the inner circle, sometimes there is a limitation. And that is the reason why when Radha and Krishna are going into this kind of a situation where she is in Man, this is a very beautiful painting by Shyamarani Mataji. Jadurani, previously known Srila Prabhupada's disciple. And she was really blessed with all the moods that were there in the Madhurya Rasa. If you can see each and every expression on Krishna's face, on Radharani's face, both are shedding tears. Here he's trying to pacify her, which I will come to in a moment in this Leela. So here, the Manjaris, when they go into the Nikunja, all the different gopis leave, especially the Ashtasakhis and the Lalita, Vishakha, Tunga Vidya, and all of them, they leave. Because in their presence, they cannot be very intimate. The highest crescendo of intimacy is when they are kind of alone or in the presence of Manjaris. When the Manjaris are present, they don't feel embarrassed. They don't feel that somebody is watching. They don't feel that there will be an interruption in their loving mellows. So therefore, and they always need some seva. What is that verse that we sing every day in the Mangalarti, in the Gurvastakam? Nikunja yuno ratikeli siddhyay yaya alibhir yuktir apekshaniya tatra ati dakshad ati vallabhasya vande guroho Shri Charana Ravindam. What does that mean? Now, this is a very Rasik understanding. Every day we sing it. But, again, this is another, when we come to this verse, it is like from different levels. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is taking us to the highest ecstasy. So our acharyas, who are none other than these manjaris, like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is Nayana Manjari. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is Kamla Manjari. Srila Gaur Krishna Babaji Maharaj is Guna Manjari. Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj is Rasika Manjari. Srila Rup Goswami is Rupa Manjari. Srila Sanatan Goswami is Labanga Manjari. Srila Jiva Goswami is Vilas Manjari. Narottam Das Thakur is Champak Lata Manjari. Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami is Kasturi Manjari. Loknath Goswami, the guru of Narottam Das Thakur, is Manjula Ali Manjari. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur himself is a Manjari. So they know, Nikunja Rati Keli Siddhya, they know the highest perfection, Siddhi, of how to serve Radha and Krishna in their highest moments of love. Rati Keli, Rati means the crescendo of conjugal love. And they are Siddhas, they have understood. They don't have to ask for something, they already know what they need. Real service is when one can understand the heart of the person and render it. Sri Chaitanya Manoyabhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. This is a very, very wonderful verse that describes the glories of Rupa Goswami, and again it culminates into the Manjari Seva. One who has understood the innermost chamber of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart, Sri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam, the desire of the innermost chamber of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart, he has understood. And he has established those principles of Madhurya Rasa. Sri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam Sthapitam Jena Swayam Rupa. When will Rupa Manjari or Rupa Goswami give me shelter at his lotus feet? It's a very, very amazing verse that describes the glories of the Manjari Bhav. So, where all the gopis leave, they are comfortable, but they still need seva. And at that time, the few manjaris that are in there are assisted by the other manjaris for the different seva kram of Radha and Krishna. And then, once that time is up, and when they all come out of the Nikunja, Radha Krishna go back to their respective homes, the gopis are ready to go, they all huddle around the manjaris. Tell me what happens inside. You know, how did Krishna, when we were out, we could still hear Radharani sobbing. And then later on, after a few minutes, we heard some laughter. And there were some smiles. How did Krishna convince her? We missed it. Can you please explain? There's a nice Rasik verse in Bhagavad Gita. See, Bhagavad Gita has got mainly opulence and many things, but there are some, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains some verses of Bhagavad Gita from the Rasik angle. What is that? Mat chitta mata prana. Yes? So, devotees, they always like to discuss my pastimes with a lot of love and relish. And that is why all the gopis, they just are so worshipping literally these manjaris. Tell us what happened. And they are like literally burning in that desire. Tell us what transpired inside. And that is why they are even more worshipable than the Astasakis, these manjaris. We have no idea what our Srila Prabhupada is, what our Guru Parampara they are. And nobody speaks about it. Naturally, because in a Sunday temple environment or in a home program, we find there are all kinds of devotees, and sometimes it's not encouraged to speak about such higher rasas. But once we actually get some idea, then we should be so grateful to our great, great, great fortune of where we are and who we can serve. Somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, who are you in Krishna's Leela? In Radharani's Leela, Prabhupada said, if I tell you, you will faint. If I tell you, you will faint. So Prabhupada kept that as a secret. Perhaps he found that nobody was qualified enough to hear it. But anyways, coming back to that, and that is why we have indications. About 4 years ago, I gave a seminar in Kartik, in Krishna Balram temple on Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra. I think that was perhaps the only one from what I've heard from different devotees and Prabhupada disciples or Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale. We say that every day. And it is full of Manjari Bhav in it. Full. If somebody's interested, just go to ISKCON Vrindavan and you will find it. Just Google Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra and Satchitananda Dasa. And there are 2 days. And then we were blessed by many Prabhupada disciples who said that we've never heard such an explanation. Perhaps you should, continue doing this. So I'm seeking for blessings. And I had no idea how I did it, because sometimes when you sit on the Vyasasana and the bhav is there, it kind of manifests within the heart and in line with what is there in our Gaudiya Parampara. So here, the Manjaris, Krishna goes, when he's not allowed, he's blocked, he looks towards the Manjaris. You help me. He doesn't really say it out loud, but like he looks at them. Perhaps Rupa Manjari. And like that. A very, very humble mood. And there the Manjaris are delineating or deliberating. What should we do? Now, if we don't listen to Lalita and Vishaka, who are our seniors, we may get into a problem. But regardless, when it comes to pure love, it is beyond law. This is a wonderful sentence that I had learned many years ago from one of Srila Prabhupada's senior godbrother, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami. Love is beyond law. And when it comes to Vraj Prem, in one sense it is lawless. One can sell oneself and go to the extreme mood just for fulfilling the desire of Radha and Krishna without caring for their own self or what the others will think or what their reputation may be at stake. So then one of the Manjaris escapes from the crowd or from that scene that's happening outside and goes into the Nikunja. And Radharani says, I know he's here, and she's sobbing. What's he saying? And then that Manjari is relating everything, that he's really desperate to meet you and he's really sorry. He is like caught his ears and he has said sorry 100 times. And I tell you, he's perspiring. So, like, basically, do something. Let him in other words. So then Radharani increases her man. Man means that kind of love that reaches such a crescendo where there is a lot of anger within the heart, and there is, what is the other right word for sulkiness, where unless and until you come and pacify me, I am not going to change my mood. There's sometimes, we find that between husband and wife. Husband does some mistake and wife says, I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. And she locks herself in the room, and then, the husband is found knocking, open the door. I brought some juice for you. I'm sorry. Please, pretty please. So that man is the right of every individual, especially the highest right that is there in Radharani. But it is transcendental. It should not be imitated and use it as an abusive way. Everything that they do, even whether it is stealing or even when it is abusing or even when it is such activities, they are completely transcendental. That only simply increases the zenith of prem. It continuously increases it. And that is one of the reasons why actually Krishna goes to the other gopis, so that he can increase Radharani's man. And that will bring them even more closer. That sweetness after some anger between husband and wife or a belover and beloved is much more than the previous union. If we can analyze that in whatever little experience we have, that makeup, and it takes it to a higher and higher level. And that is the reason why Krishna does what he does. And just so in case if somebody thinks that he's a kind of a debauchee, or he is somebody antisocial and he doesn't know how to behave, but this is the secret behind it, is to increase the love between him and Radharani. That utkanta, that is the right word. And when the Manjaris go in, then at that time, she's still not convinced. In this particular case. So then he's turned away. This time Shyam Sundar is turned away. And then when he's turned away, what does he do? He goes to the bank of the Jamuna and he rolls on the floor, on the bank, starts crying. I mean, every time I get to see her, but today, no. His crown falls off. His flute falls off his waist band. And he's rolling and really deeply morose. And at that time, guess who appears? Yogamaya in the form of Vrinda Devi. And again, this is Braj. Vrinda Devi knows everything. But says, Krishna, what happened? Never seen you like this, crying. Your crown is on the floor. Your flute, your favorite flute. It's always tucked into your waist. It's lying there about 3 feet away. What happened? Oh, what can I say? And Krishna was sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. Today, Radharani did not allow me. She doesn't even want to see me. And my life is useless now. I might as well give up my body. I don't know what to do. So Yogamaya, or her expansion, Vrinda Devi says, Krishna, I have a solution. And Krishna stands up from his rolling position. What? I have a solution. You said you have a solution? Yes, I have a solution. Tell me, what is it? Well, she makes Krishna plead literally. I don't think so. You'll be able to do this. Never mind. Forget it. Krishna, no. Tell me. Anything to see Radharani. I must. Are you sure? Are you sure? Krishna says, I'm sure. Tell me, what can I do? So there are some conditions. What are those conditions? Well, first of all, you will have to give up all these opulent clothes, the way Mother Yashoda is dressing you, and you have all these wonderful pitambar and all these jeweled bracelets and ankle and the beautiful earrings and all this different ornaments and clothes. You have to give them up. He says, okay, I'll do that. And you will have to wear the clothes of a sannyasi. Of a sannyasi? He says, yes, I'll do that. Not only that, you will have to shave your head. Give up your beautiful hair. Krishna's hair is so beautiful that has been described again in the Damodar Ashtakam. Which verse? Verse number 5. What is that verse? Idam te mukham bojam avyakta nilair vritam kuntalai snigdha. Very, very soft hair. Raktais. Sanatana Goswami describes that Krishna's hair as a tinge or a hue of redness, just like the bumblebees. Some of you have seen some bees and flies who are blue tinged or red tinged. Have you seen them? We have seen them in India. And some bees have a red, their tinge of hue of redness. And Krishna's description of the hair is so soft, and it has as if there is a swarm of bees surrounding his hair, and that is why Raktais means the redness is there in Krishna's. Like, nowadays women, they have streaks of red or green or whatever, blonde colors. So that is the color of Krishna's hair that has been described by Satyavrat Muni. So you will give up your soft, curly, beautiful hair. Are you ready? I am, very reluctantly. Not only that, you'll have to give up your flute and also your peacock feather. No. That's not possible. Okay, well, these were the conditions. Okay, I'll do that. And then, what else? I'm going to give you one kanjani as a one-stringed instrument. They especially played in Bengal. The sadhus of Bengal, they played. What is it called in Bangla? Ek tara. I will give you, ek means one and tara means one string. So ek tara, I will give you that, and I will teach you a song, and you go into the forest and play it. So, Vrinda Devi teaches Krishna a nice song. Krishna is all shaved up, no flute, no mayurpank, no nice clothes, no jewelry. He's dressed up in a bhikshuk, a beggar, sannyasi, and he's going into the forest and he's singing this love song that was taught by Vrinda Devi. And as he's passing through, he comes along that Nikunja, or the bower, where Radharani is and the Sakhis are. And as he's singing, all the Sakhis are very, very upset because Radharani is upset. She's still sobbing, she's still crying. And then they hear this, they see the sannyasi pass, this mendicant, this sadhu pass. And Lalita says, call him, call him. Perhaps he knows to foretell. He's an astrologer because, in India how it is, the sadhus, they know so many different, hand, what do you call astrology and stuff like that, palmistry. So they call him and says, Baba, we have one request. Our Pran Sakhi Radha is extremely morose and she's going through a very turbulent period, and this is happening quite often. Can you do some fortune telling and maybe find a solution for her? So Baba says, okay. And this Baba, so Lalita goes inside and says, I have a sannyasi Baba who can tell your fortune, and we can find a solution to put this nonsense to a stop once and for all for Krishna harassing you like this. So Radharani is not convinced, but she is so much, her mood is so sulky that whatever. So she said, okay, fine, and then he's brought inside the Nikunja, this Baba. And at that time, Radharani immediately covers herself with a veil, as we can see there. And then, because that's the system in Vraj, the Vedic culture is that only with your own husband or your own family members or your close people you can show your face, otherwise you normally cover it with a veil. So when he comes in, he's covered, and then Lalita and Vishaka very respectfully ask him, please sit down, Baba. And Baba sits down and he says, I would like to see her. Lalita Vishaka say that, why don't you pull your left hand out and I can, we can show it to Baba with the lines on your hand. So the Baba says, the sannyasi, I'm not that kind of a fortune teller. I don't look at the palm, but I read the forehead. See how tricky Krishna is? It is full of tricks. There's one nice Vraj bhajan also. Mani aaka vesh banaya, shama chudi bechane aaya. One time Krishna goes into Vraj and he's becoming like a seller of bangles and seller of different necks up like that, so that he can meet Radharani, because again Radharani is in a sulky mood, so he finds a different way. So then he goes into that chamber, and Radharani, seeing that somebody's come to sell different bangles, so she says, Chudi lal nahi pehnu, chudi hari nahi pehnu, mohe shyam rang hi bhaya, shama chudi bechne aaya. And she sees an array of bangles. And she says, no. I don't want other colors. I only want the bluish color. So like this pastime is going on in one of the different pastimes. And then Radharani slowly takes her, Krishna says that, let me see how these fit in your hand. So she takes out her hand, and then slowly Krishna starts putting the bangles in her hand. And then Radharani understands just by the touch of Krishna, this is Krishna. And then she slowly lifts her veils and they both laugh. So that's one of the pastimes. So coming back to this particular pastime, he's singing the song, he's brought into the inner chamber, and he says, I'm not that kind of an astrologer, palmistry. I see the lines. Rather than saying, no way. I'm not showing some stranger my face. So when he gets up, okay, fine, I'm out of here. That's again another drama that Krishna is doing. I'm a sannyasi. I'm not attached to any male or female or any kind of, why is she feeling that way? And I can really tell this or the fortune, but she doesn't want it, so I cannot force it. Then Lalita and Vishakha, and they convince her, Radharani, he's a sannyasi. You cannot see, but he's wearing saffron robes. And we feel that he can really tell you, so lift your veil. And then Radharani finally, and then he says, no, not yet. You guys have to step out. Because there's a lot of confidential information that I want to give her. And I'm afraid maybe she may want you to know or may not want you to know. So Radharani says, no. They are not going out. I cannot be alone. Okay, fine, I'm leaving. So then that drama continues, and then suddenly she concedes. Everybody goes out. And here, Radharani slowly lifts her veil, and then obviously Radharani recognizes Krishna. And then they have a wonderful rendezvous, and there's a very, very happy atmosphere where everybody's completely happy. But Vishakha is very disappointed. She is not forgiving. So she tells this Krishna dressed as a sannyasi, I curse you that one day you will also cry just like my Radharani cried in your separation. And Krishna accepts that curse, and that is why he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This was a very amazing Leela, and we can find this in His Divine Grace, Gaur Govind Maharaj's book, Embankment of Separation. This is not something, some people ask me for references, so I give you this reference as well. So, this is why Mahaprabhu came. Now, coming back to your question very briefly and nicely, because it's taken quite a bit of a time. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he glorified Srimati Radharani. Not only that, he was satisfied with the inner sweetness that he received of his own self, and that he could do in the last 12 years in the Gambhira, in Jagannath Puri, after propagating the holy names. And of course, obtaining the mood and the craziness of Radharani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was accompanied by two of his most confidential associates. Who were they? Rai Ramananda and Sarup Damodar. Who is Rai Ramananda? Vishakha Sakhi. Who is Sarup Damodar? Lalita Sakhi. And they knew how to fan that love, how they're always with Radharani and they always know how to enhance that love. And if Krishna made a mistake, Sarup Damodar would correct. No, Radharani would not behave like that. This is how she would behave. So actually to correct him, also they were both personally present because he wanted to obtain the mood of Sri Radha. Supposing if I want to do acting of a certain role, and if I'm not doing it properly, then the director will tell me, no. The dialogue should be said in such a way, with such a pause, and with such feelings. Right? So tweak it, change it. Right? So that is one of the inner secrets. And the maximum separation Nandanandan felt was in Jagannath Puri. That is why Jagannath Puri is known as Viyogini Radha Kshetra. And that is the reason Jagannath Puri is considered by some of the Gaudiya Vaishnava as the highest pinnacle even beyond Vrindavan. Because in all Vaishnava Sampradayas, there is some level of separation, but the highest level of separation is found in the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Nama Gaur Kishoraya Shakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasam Bodhe Padam Bhujayate Nama. I offer my humble obeisances to Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj, Nama Gaur Kishoraya, Shakshad Vairagya Murtaye, the embodiment of renunciation. Shakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasam Bodhe, feeling separation, service in the separation. Vipralamba Rasam Buddhi, the ocean of mellows in the service of separation. Padam Bhojayati Namah. I offer my respectful obeisances unto that personality, Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. And that goes through for all our acharyas, that same mood or bhav. It is Srila Prabhupada, well situated in Golok Vrindavan, or Rup Goswami or Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, etc. They left Golok in separation giving us that mood of Krishna Prema in separation. That is why we say, Namaum Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale. Somebody who is so dear to Krishna, he came down, descended from Golok Vrindavan to do a task which is almost very difficult to perform amongst so many devotees in Golok. Because imagine if we are with Krishna, seated just like how we are seated with devotees and we are interacting, and someone says, you leave the room and see you, bye-bye, for a long time. You'll have to go. And where? To a very hellish condition, to the world of birth, death, disease, and old age. Go down there and give them Krishna consciousness. Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami. Srimate means what? Meaning of the word Srimate. Sri means Srimati Radharani. Sri means Lakshmi Devi. But who is the origin of Lakshmi? Srimati Radharani. So Sri Mate means one whose consciousness is constantly in the welfare and well-being of Radharani. There is a clue that of Manjari Bhav in Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra. And because he is very dear to Saraswate Devi, Namaste, we mostly sometimes make this mistake. I mentioned this Saraswati Devi. No, it is Saraswate Devi. It's grammar in Sanskrit. When the word A comes, that it becomes off. Like Krishna's name is Vasudev, and Krishna's father in Mathura is Vasudev. The son of Vasudev is Vasudev. So the transcendental son of Saraswati Thakur, meaning Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, is Saraswati Devi. And Saraswati Thakur, we know who he is. He is Nayana Manjari. So obviously he is in the same camp, which is Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srimate. Just to give a little clue, not to go into the whole Pranam Mantra. So these are the nuances that we have to understand. And Vishaka cursed, and not only because of that curse, Vishaka knew. And Lalita knew that we gave him the curse, he's not going to be able to handle it alone. We also will go with you and we will also suffer with you. And that is why 12 years in the Gambhira in Jagannath Puri, the highest pinnacle of separation of Radharani's bhav which he obtained, as we find in the Chaitanya Sistastakam, in the last chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, where the last two verses is Krishna obtains the mood of Srimati Radharani. Yugaitam nimishena chakshusha pravashaitam shunaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me ashlisha padartam pinastuma madarshanam marma hatam karotuva yata tathava vidato lampato mat prana nathasya evana paraha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nandan has obtained that mood of Srimati Radharani finally. And he proclaims this, that every moment is like a millennium. Now he has understood that every moment he was away from Radharani, how Radharani felt. You feel it. You wanted it. You got it. Be careful what you ask for. That is why Radharani herself, Lalita and Vishaka came, but Radharani said that if you get my mood, you won't be able to handle it. Hey Nandan, hey Shyam Sundar. No way you'll be able to handle it. You don't know the kind of man. It's the first verse of the Gopi Geet. Jayati te adhikam janmana vraja shrayata indira shaswadatrahi. Shrayata indira shaswadatrahi. Toi dhruta savas tam vichinvate. Our life air is gone. Almost gone. Do you know what it feels like, Krishna? To give us this kind of separation? It is impossible for us to even live, but we live because if we die, you will not be able to tolerate our separation. That is why we try to maintain our life air. That is the pinnacle of love in Madhuri Rasa, especially Srimati Radharani. And that is expressed in the song of separation of the Gopi Geet, starting with the very first verse, the last two lines. So coming back and culminating into what I was saying earlier, that Radharani said, you're not going to be able to handle it if you get my mood. You'll be rolling in the dust, in stones, thorny pathways, And that's what happened. Even in the Gambhira, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he chanted the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He used to be so much in that separation when he chanted that he didn't realize that he was rubbing his cheeks against the wall of the Gambhira. Blood used to ooze out. At night when Sarup Damodar Goswami and Rai Ramanand went to sleep, being tired of guarding, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to break out of the little room. And he did not know what he was doing. He would sometimes jump into the ocean of Jagannath Puri thinking that is the Jamuna. That was and Radharani said, I will wrap myself around you. And that is why the darkest Krishna has become golden in color. Because Radharani's color is Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi. She is molten golden. And that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Gaura. Because anytime you fall down and you hurt yourself, I will act as a shield. That is the highest pinnacle of prema. I won't let anything happen to you, my dear Krishna. Let me wrap myself around you. I will. So, this is the pinnacle of love. And now the question that you had asked, that why did? For the record, can you repeat that? Why did Radharani leave the Rasa dance? So, the Rasa dance is the highest pinnacle of prema, which Krishna doesn't give everybody. He gives it to, actually he does give it to all the gopis in Madhurya Ras only. And within the Madhurya Ras, he even gives it to all the four classes of gopi. In Swapaksha, Vipaksha, Surud and Tatastha. He gives all the gopis that chance as a reward for their surrender to him. And when Krishna is performing the Rasa Leela, Krishna is actually, it is mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he is in the center with Srimati Radharani and all the gopis are surrounding in the Rasa Leela. So there are two different opinions and they are both correct. Krishna is so fast that he actually goes around in that circle. Like, sometimes we find that somebody who is fast, he can, like we find sometimes that somebody who is a very celebrity, he'll clap here, he'll clap here, he'll clap here, he'll clap here, he'll try to shake hands of everybody. So fast. So similarly, it is mentioned that it appears like Krishna is like a firebrand. Like when you take a ball of fire and you tie it on a string and it's just one ball, but when it's turning around, it appears to be a circle. So similarly, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that at that time, when he's actually performing the Ras Leela with Radharani, he's so fast that he reciprocates with each and every gopi. But sometimes one gopi is feeling tired because of the quick circling. So he wipes the gopi's forehead with the sweat beads. One of the gopis, her ankle bells have become loose. And Krishna is so swift that he immediately ties those ankle bells. And like that, he's reciprocating. And each gopi is thinking that, oh wow, I'm so important. So there is a philosophy here, but that is not the main paramount reason, but it becomes a philosophical reason where there is a transcendental pride in them, thinking that I am important and the rest are not. So we have to be very careful. What do we learn from the philosophical essence here? That all devotees are important. That is why we should not commit any offenses, and that is why we should not remain neophytes. The definition of a neophyte is he has faith in Krishna, but he does not respect other devotees and he thinks he is the best. That is one class of Vaishnava known as Kanishta Vaishnava. The second class of Vaishnava is known as Madhyam Vaishnava, where has faith in Krishna, but also respects all the Vaishnavas. But he keeps himself at a distance from non-believers. And the third class of Vaishnava is one who thinks that everybody else is a devotee except himself. That is known as the Uttamadhikari Vaishnava. And Uttamadhikari Vaishnavas cannot preach. Because how can I preach to somebody who is more elevated to me? That is their bhav. That is why the Uttamadhikari Vaishnava comes down to the Madhyamadhikari platform to preach. So it's not to say that Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur And all these Vaishnava acharyas, they're not Uttamadhikari, they're highly Uttamadhikari. Uttam. But they come down on the platform of a Madhyam for preaching purposes, so for our own benefit. So one answer is that there is pride. But that is external. That is just a philosophical treatise. But there is much more deeper than that. There is a transcendental man or a jealousy that Radharani gets when he sees that here I am and he is simply going around leaving me alone and dancing with others. And the beauty is Krishna never left her. And that is known as another stage of prema. That is called prema vaichitya. What is prema vaichitya? Prema vaichitya means that even when the person is right there, physically present, one feels separation. One good example. Radha and Krishna, in the afternoon, they are having a rendezvous in the forest, and all the different cowherd boys have gone, taken out the cows, and they want to leave them alone. The gopis have come with the chak or the lunches, and now there's a time where Krishna is again having Madhuri Rasa pastimes, and all his friends are scattered behind the cows. And one of the closest friends of Krishna is known as a Priya Narma Sakha. He is Madhumangal. So he doesn't come into the Nikunja, but he understands Radha and Krishna's love, but he stays at a distance just in case if Krishna needs me. Now, Radha and Krishna have already eaten their lunches and now they are already embracing each other, and Radharani is lying in Krishna's lap and just about to take a nap. And at that time, a nice, huge bumblebee comes and starts buzzing around Radharani's lotus feet, thinking that this is a beautiful lotus. And she gets extremely scared. I don't know if you've ever had that experience, but we find that in Vrindavan. Sometimes, the pujari or somebody gives us a garland, a deity garland. And as soon as you go out of the temple, or if you have some Mahaprasad like Rasgulla or something like that, the bees find you. They immediately come and circle you. You have to give up your garland, otherwise they'll swarm you. This is our practical experience. Especially some fragrant flowers, some or the other they'll find you and they'll start swarming around. It's a pretty scary situation. And then, so Radharani felt that way, and Radharani kind of clutches Krishna and says, and Krishna yells, Madhumangal! And Madhumangal comes very quickly with a stick and he says, Madhusudan. So the bee in Sanskrit is known as Madhusudan. Madhu means a bee and Sudan means one who extracts honey. Sudan means to extract. So Madhumangal comes quickly and he takes his little staff and drives the bee away into the forest. The bee is trying to turn back and again he goes zzz, and he drives him far away. And finally he says loudly, Madhusudan is gone. The extractor of honey is gone. And what does Radharani suddenly feel? She feels her limbs going cold. And she feels that separation. Because one of the names of Krishna is Madhusudan. And why is it given the name Madhusudan? Because he is also naughty like a bee, going from one house to another, trying to extract the honey love from the different gopis. That's why he is known as Madhusudan. So here when they said Madhusudan, he said, Madhusudan is gone, my Krishna is gone, my Krishna, but she's right in the lap of Krishna. That is called Prema Vaichitya. That is one stage of Prema. So similarly, what was I saying earlier? Radharani felt Prema Vaichitya, although Krishna was right there in the center performing rasa dance, she thought he's gone because she sees all the other gopis and Krishna dancing with them. And that is the reason she leaves the Ras Mandal, despondent, angry, in man. Now, the third internal reason for her leaving, that is, man actually creates a very amazing union. And that union was something that was arranged by Yogamaya. That if she goes away, Krishna is going to leave the rasa dance. And when Krishna leaves the rasa dance will stop. Krishna is going to simply go behind Radharani. And then when they are going to eventually meet in a secluded place, they are going to be very happy. Krishna catches up with Radharani. And then when the gopis who are following from far, they look at the footprints in the Vraj dust. First, they see the footprints of only one gopi. Again, the word gopi is mentioned in Bhagavatam, in Gopi Geet. They don't say Radharani, but it is inferred. And not everybody infers Radharani, because there are many other gopis from the other camps who have not really understood it right away. Only the Swapaksha gopis have recognized the lines on Radharani's lotus feet, because they serve every day. Do you know what the service of Nayana Manjari is? Nayana Manjari means Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Her service, special service to Radharani, is putting lac on her lotus feet. Applying the lac. You see the redness? That's called lac. The lac is applied by, that's her seva. So Nayana Manjari knows each and every line on Radharani's lotus feet. And that is why one of the names of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, what did Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj give the initiated name? Sri Varsha Bhanvi Devi Daitaya Das. The dearmost servant of the daughter of King Vrishabhana. That's the pranam mantra of Bhaja Bhakti Siddhanta. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Dinamine Sri Varsha Bhanvi Devi Daitaya Kripa Abdaye. The ocean of mercy. Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Nama. One who gives us the science of Krishna consciousness, etc. It's a very long pranam mantra. So that is the reason. And then when the gopis see that there are two sets of footprints, that means they see that Krishna is caught up. And then again they say they see only one set of footprint, but the footprints are he sees that in one place it's the deep impression of the toes. Here that they infer, the Swapaksha gopis, that Krishna, to please Radharani, was trying to get a nice flower from a tree. And then further as he goes in, they see that the entire footprint is very heavy. And then the Swapaksha gopis find out that Radharani was tired and Krishna carried her in his arms. And then they go to a secluded place where they are very, very happy. So that separation created a very special union even in post the rasa dance. But when all the gopis came and they found out through the footprints, here they are, Krishna seeing that, he immediately disappears. Why? Because the rest of the gopis should not be envious of Radharani. Who is that special gopi? Who is that special gopi? And then there is a sort of a little, so that nobody should envy my Radharani, because she is so kind and she should not be blamed for me leaving the rasa dance. So then he disappears, but he disappears hiding behind a tree or a bush. And that's when all the gopis sing the Gopi Geet. Jayatite adhikam janmanavraja. So these are the reasons why Krishna leaves the rasa dance. If there's something else you would like to add, please feel free to do so, Prabhu.
No, Prabhu, I'd like to say thank you so much. This has been so wonderful. I don't want you to stop, but I see time is getting away.
I don't even know what the time is. It's 8:36.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki. Gaur Premanande. It's always nice to have a small, intimate satsang with, and to kind of, go into a little bit of a deeper rasa, which generally in other lectures, it would be a challenge.
But it's so purifying to hear Krishna's pastime, Krishna Leela. So it's good for all of us.
Yes.
It's just so we infinitely purifying.
Yes. The gopis say the same thing. Tava katha amritam. Tapta jivanam. Gopi Geet, verse number 9. Kavi biriditam kalmashapaham shravana mangalam srimad bhuvi grinanti je bhurida jana. The narrations of your pastimes are amrit. They bring deathlessness. It's like nectar, etc. So thank you very much. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Time is really short. Actually, I wanted to even touch upon a little bit on the Mahamantra of the Gambhira events of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but maybe some other time. You remind me.
After the dinner.
Hare, we'll see. We have to leave early tomorrow. So, yeah, tomorrow for a couple of weeks.
Where you going, Canada?
I'm going to Canada and then yeah.